right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and call the April Board of Adjustment meeting to order, and we'll start with a roll call here. I guess you'll go ahead and do that for me, Don.
Wendell Miller.
You're here.
I'm here. Calvin's gone. Wayne's gone. Josh.
Here.
All right.
We barely have a quorum.
We do have one, though. Okay, good deal. All right, you guys had a chance to look at the minutes.
Motion we approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye. Aye. You would note that I did vote too. Okay, and then any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. All right, and all right, the item number one, we don't have any old business, so the new business is a variance from Article 4.1 to allow 8-foot fence despite a 6-foot height limit, submitted by Eric Gerstad. Is it Gerstead? Okay. All right. You have a staff report on that for us, Victoria?
Yes, sir. And I've got a presentation for you guys, so that should be up on your screens. So this is an application at 304 Barbaric Lane. It is a variance from the fence height requirement as stated. The existing conditions, this is located within the Marina Heights District. It is an existing single-family home. The property is zoned R1, single-family residential, and it is surrounded by other R1 zoned properties. Surrounding properties and uses include other single-family homes. So the review comments, again, the application is to allow an 8-foot fence despite the 6-foot limit surrounding the house. The fence is behind the 25-foot required front yard setback and therefore is not subject to the 3.5-foot height requirement. It is subject to the 6-foot height requirement. The applicant is requesting this fence to protect his food forest from deer. Staff has not found that the applicant has demonstrated that special conditions exist, as all the reasons stated by the applicant in their letter of intent and application for the variance, such as wildlife and health concerns, could be applicable to other applicants and other lands. And the granting of this variance is not in harmony with the purpose and intent of the zoning code, as the purpose and intent is to allow those 6-foot fences. So staff does recommend denial of this application as a result of the findings that the applicant has not demonstrated that special conditions exist, and the granting of this variance is not in harmony with the purpose and intent of the code. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
All right, thank you, Victoria. We do have you down to speak. Eric, if you'd like to come up and take the podium up here, state your name for the record, if you would.
My name is Eric Gerstead, and I'm here to request a variance for a trellis that I want to put around my garden. I'm here today as a disabled veteran, and I've been using gardening for therapeutic purposes for my mental and physical health. Helps me in a lot of different ways. I won't get into all the details, but I've submitted a letter from my counselor at the VA explaining the benefits, both some tangible and intangible. But the premise behind it is this helps me treat some conditions that I don't really have much control over. The problem I'm running into is we have a lot of deer. As you saw in the picture, we're surrounded by heavily forested areas. We're right by the state park. Bob can attest, we have deer there probably every single day. I've seen as many as 12 in my front yard and 22 go behind the house. I've got pictures if you want to see it. And they destroy the garden. They eat it down to the nub. It effectively makes it, I can't really do much gardening outside of some ornamental things. So the reason I want to put in a higher trellis, it gives me several benefits, but the main intent is to keep the deer out of the garden. I've been working on this years. I've talked to lots of people. I've done a lot of research. Most of my family, my grandparents, have gardened their entire lives, and what I've come to the conclusion of, I've tried dogs, I've tried certain planting, I've tried scents. This is the most practical and affordable approach I can take that's going to keep deer out of the garden. Without that, I'm wasting my time even trying to do the gardening. I'm trying to do this in a way that's copacetic, that has a good aesthetic feel. It matches the house. It will be painted to match the house. And everything that I've seen has pointed me towards a fence that needs to be somewhere between 7 and 8 foot high to keep most deer out. There's some studies out of Texas that show a deer can jump over an 8-foot fence, but it's not likely. It most likely would happen if they're being chased by a predator. So this will eliminate 90% of my problems and allow me to continue to pursue this gardening for the sake of my disability. It has other benefits too. Helps my family. I get to spend time with my kids. Helps my bees. You know, I can plant more things that are beneficial to them as well. So that's really why I'm trying to get the variance. I want a trellis to keep the deer out of my garden, and I'm using it to treat my VA disabilities. One of the things that was brought up to me, I am a disabled veteran. I do have PTSD, among other things, and that is protected by the Americans with Disability Act, which is a federal law. The intent of the law is to allow disabled persons to fully enjoy life the best they can and to prevent discrimination. And there are regulations, guidelines inside of that document that allow for accommodations that are reasonable for disabled persons, and Title II of that law applies to state and local governments. So there is some federal precedence to allow for reasonable accommodations. Additionally, my wife and I have looked up, there's been, I believe, 9 variance requests for residential fences in the last 10 years. 8 of those were approved. Most of them cited different reasons, but the fence not being obtrusive, the fence being safe. One of the reasons included a woman who had PTSD, and it was for security to support her disability. So I have more pictures. If there's any clarification, if there's any other questions that I can answer, please ask away.
Thank you for your service, by the way, and
You're welcome.
appreciate you. Bob, state your name for the record, sir, if you would. Everybody knows who you are, but do it anyway.
No, I'm Bob Hagel. So I noticed that he put the map up there of the drawing of his house. I want you to know my house is on the other side of the fence. We share that property line, and I am very A-OK with what he's doing. So my yard gets run over by deer too, but I ain't a gardener, so you know, it's different on my side. That's the only difference, but I'm okay with it, man. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Just for curiosity, how far off the road is that? Do you have?
The closest distance to the road is 54 feet.
Okay. All right, that's what that 54 up there is. Okay, gotcha. I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve this variance request. All those in favor acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carried. Thank you. And if there's no other, do you have anything to add to that, or? Okay.
The next item, sorry.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah,
Thank you for your
I'm
service.
not gonna gavel you out yet, no. So, yeah, we have the variance from the 4.3 requesting relief of the privacy fence requirement submitted by Barrett Associates on behalf of Arkansas Tech for Pope County EMS. Take it away, Ms. Victoria.
Yes, so this is for the new Pope County EMS facility at 1850 North Arkansas. It is a variance from the privacy fence requirement. The existing conditions, this is located within the University Place District. This is a proposed site of the new Pope County EMS facility. It's an R3 zoned property surrounded by R3 and C2 zoned properties, including uses such as Fire Station 3, a martial arts gym, and Cowell Steel. In our review, this application is to allow a variance from Article 4.3 requesting relief from the privacy fence requirement when a commercial use abuts a residential zone. Staff has found that the applicant has demonstrated that special conditions exist due to the nature and use of the adjacent property. Although the property is zoned residentially, it is property owned by Arkansas Tech that is utilized in an agricultural manner. The intent of the zoning code is to protect residential lands from commercial development, and as such, the land currently being utilized as agriculture is a special condition. So it is staff's recommendation that the Board of Adjustment approve this variance with the following conditions: that the applicant shall construct that privacy fence if the adjacent use is to be developed in a residential manner at some point. And this is based on the findings that the applicant has demonstrated that special conditions exist and the applicant has met all other variance requirements. And that is my staff report. Any questions?
Thank you. What is your pleasure, gentlemen? Is there anybody this is a public meeting, is there anybody, do you have anything to add to? If you have any questions, I'm here to answer. Okay, all right. Anybody have anything?
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Okay,
Second.
all right, we have a motion and a second to approve this variance request. All those in favor, acknowledge by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. And now can we leave? Okay. All right, we are adjourned.